After a 8-month wait, we're back here on Dave Campbell's Texas Sports. It's time for football here at Hall Stadium in Fort Bend County. It's the Hightower Hurricanes hosting the Cy Ranch Mustangs. Welcome everyone to the broadcast here on our DCTX Rising Game of the Week. Trevor Bullard, Greg Powers, and Carter Yates bringing you all the action. Gentlemen, it's been too long.
No doubt about it, Trevor. I'm so excited. Actually, I'm jacked for this game. There are a lot of elite talents on the field tonight, and I'm going to start with Cypress Ranch's offensive front, and that's junior offensive tackle Armani Edwards. He is an absolute beast in the trenches, plenty of experience. He started as a freshman, so he's got 2 years under his belt with 2 years of Texas high school football to go, but he's going to be matched equally with a Hightower defensive front that comes into this game with a whole lot to prove. And Chris Carroll was getting me excited in the pregame with the way that he was bringing the team together, firing everybody up.
Yeah, I know Powers is the recruiting guy. So we cannot wait to hop in and talk about these recruits. But let me zoom back and give you an idea of why we chose both these teams for our first DCTX Rising Game of the Week presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. Cy Ranch is the preseason number 21 ranked team in Class 6A. They're the projected district champions in our magazine, coming off a 10-3 record that was the best season since the state runner-up finish in 2014. And that 10-3 record, guys, that's including a loss in overtime in the third round of the playoffs to Waxahachie, and then 2 regular season losses by a combined 6 points. But Fort Bend Hightower is a perennial playoff contender, too, under Cornelius Anthony. And in his first 3 years, they went at least 3 rounds deep. And now after losing in the first round of the playoffs in back-to-back years, they've added one of the top quarterbacks in the state in Carson White. And it was a lot of fun to watch Carson White in pregame, Powers.
Yeah, no doubt about it, because he is a guy that is going to take the reins of this offense. And Coach Anthony's perceptions of him early throughout the first couple of weeks of practice his remarks, I have to say, they were glowing. He's a guy that just gets it. Of course, his father is the offensive coordinator here at Hightower now, and he's grown up in a football family. He knows these X's and O's like the back of his hand. But on the other sidelines, Braden Baker, 6'5", 190 pounds, committed to Houston. He's going to match White's intensity with a different style of play. He's a guy that loves to press it in the passing game. Of course, as his size suggests, he's a great pocket passer, but he can escape the pocket and make things happen with his legs when plays break down, and even on some design plays as well.
I think it's one of the best quarterback matchups we'll have all week in week 1 of the Texas high school football season. And let's bring it back to Carson White, Powers, because Cornelius Anthony, the Fort Bend Hightower head coach, is a spiritual man, and he says that Carson White coming to Fort Bend Hightower was God's timing, because you got to remember, they lost their offensive coordinator last year, who got the head coaching job at Spring. And then they also lost their quarterback, who was the district MVP, Kylan Davis. And that opened the door for Cornelius Anthony to hire his longtime friend, Carnell White, to be offensive coordinator, and bring Carson White in from Iowa Colony. And he was 36-5 in 3 years as a starting quarterback at Alvin, Iowa Colony. So no stranger to Texas high school football, but this will be the first time we get to see him in the Hightower uniform. Super exciting stuff.
On the defensive side of the ball, Camp Anthony, Cornelius Anthony's son, is the emotional leader of the defense. They call him the quarterback on the defensive side of the ball. But a guy I love for Cypress Ranch, that's defensive back Jacob Lee. He's a three-sport athlete, one of the best all-around athletes in the entire Lone Star State. And he's committed to Rice, and he can absolutely lock down one half of the field. So I'll be interested to see if they try to test Jacob Lee early.
I think we talked to our quarterback matchup presented by Panini America. If you're Carson White, I remember seeing him as a freshman. He came in against Stafford when he was at Iowa Colony playing 4A. He only, since that win, only lost 5 games the rest of the way, once to Chapel Hill, and a team I'm sure he's glad he doesn't have to see anymore. All his other losses were to Richmond Randall.
Yeah, that's for sure. And we were actually at the Iowa Colony Richmond Randall game last year for the DCTX Rising Game of the Week presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. And that was an absolute battle. And Carson White came out like a heavyweight fighter, swinging with left hook, right hook, and he put Landon Williams-Callis and Richmond Randall down on the mat. Now, they did get back up and had a tremendous second half and had a come-from-behind win, but that was the game that really opened my eyes to Carson White and the type of talent that he is.
You know what stood out to me this offseason, Powers, when we went down to College Station at State 7-on-7 and saw Carson White for the first time in a Fort Bend Hightower uniform? Let me finish after the national anthem. Well, that's a beautiful national anthem by the Fort Bend Hightower Band. And look, it's week one for everyone. I was so excited talking about Carson White. I almost talked over the national anthem, but how can you not get so excited about Carson White?
I've got chills, Carter. I've got chills. Texas high school football is so bad.
Well, okay, so what I was saying is we saw him in College Station, right? He'd been at Fort Bend Hightower for maybe 2 weeks, and he had complete command of the offense, calling all the plays. He was running the show. You could tell he was the leader, and seeing him in pregame, this team rallies around him. Exceptional leadership qualities from the Oklahoma State commit. Really was something to see.
Yeah, I'm glad that you called out his commitment to Oklahoma State, because I feel like Eric Morris and crew did a tremendous job in Carson White's recruitment. They really put a lot of love and a lot of effort and a lot of relationship building into this for the long term and showing him a path forward where he could be the QB1 in Stillwater, and I think that was very important. But Braden Baker's not going to go away in this game. He enters with so much experience. He's a calm and steady leader, 6'5" frame, and he's going to be battling against Carson White for a long time because he's also committed to a Big 12 school in Houston. And I think this rivalry that we're about to see unfold before us tonight on a Thursday night is going to carry on into Saturdays, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun to watch.
It was a testament to Houston keeping local talent at home. You know, with Braden Baker, he had 2,800 passing yards, 32 touchdowns, and 1 interception last year. Just insane numbers. But he is also the second high-profile commit behind Keyshawn Henderson, the 5-star from Legacy, the School of Sports Sciences. So Wes Fritz, Willie Fritz, and that whole staff is doing a magnificent job.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Coming up next, we got to talk about our keys to the game, presented by Garage Door Doctor. I mean, if your ranch probably feels like finish is one of the keys to the game. We saw a lot. I mean, last year, not only that loss to Waxahachie, but how close they were in their other 2 losses of the season. Do you have any other keys to the game?
Well, I think for Cypress Ranch is establishing the run, right?
Yeah.
You got a running back that only played in 5 or 6 games in Christian White. He's got a lot of scholarship offers already coming his way, but they need to be able to establish an identity on the offensive side of the football. They have one in Braden Baker. If they can establish the run and bring a multifaceted aspect to the field, this is a completely different Cypress Ranch team.
Powers, I want to talk more about the running back Christian White. I know you're a huge fan of him. He only played in 5 games last year, but he has a chance to put his name among the best in Texas. 33 offers, and he looks the part down there on the field in pregame. Coach Blaylock said in his generation he would have played in Nebraska and had a crop-top jersey to show off those abs and those big thigh pads. You know, he is a bruising downhill running back, but he also worked on catching the ball out of the backfield this spring and summer. So super excited to see him.
Well, I mean, a key to the game then for Hightower's got to be the defensive front and how they can match, you know, Cypress Ranch trying to establish that run. They need to be able to slow these guys down, deflate the tires, so to speak, take a little bit of air out to make sure that they can get them 3 and out, get the ball back to their offense, and let Carson White cook.
As we're just getting ready for our Baylor Scott, our kickoff presented and brought to you by Baylor Scott and White Health. Braden Baker, Carson White, Manny Leha, just to name offensive play, Romani Edwards, just a few offensive players that you're going to see in store for us tonight. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. And again, we're glad you can join us here for the Dave Campbell's Texas Sports Rising Game of the Week presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. As the Texas high school football season is underway on Carrier's kick, returned and instead fair caught at about the 11, and out will come this Hightower offense. Gentlemen, we talked a lot about Carson White, but he's got some outstanding weapons out there, including Kentrell Mosley, the senior receiver. 18 catches, 401 yards, and 6 touchdowns last season.
Trevor, I'm trying to see what's going on down on the field. It looks like we might have jumped the gun a little bit on the kickoff, just like I jumped the gun right before the national anthem. It's week 1 for everybody. What did I just say? I think they're going to do a redo here, potentially. Yeah, it looks like they're sitting back up to kick off again.
We know Carrier's got a leg. Talking with Coach Blaylock earlier this week, he can kick 58-plus on field goals. So, on kickoffs, he's going to be able to boom that deep, and we'll see him do it again.
I'm going to rewrite the script for him, though. They kicked it to Dalen Dinkins. He's one of the most heavily recruited athletes in the class of 2028. He's number 5 for Fort Bend Hightower. Not a guy I want touching the football on the first kickoff.
Yeah, do not do that. He won a gold medal at the AAU Junior Olympics with a 6-foot 10-inch high jump. That's a gold medalist out there. Do not kick to that guy.
Now we'll get your Baylor Scott and White Health kickoff.
Did it again.
Oh, it's muffed.
We are not Swamis out of the gate, Carter. Dalen Dinkins coughs the football up. Cypress Ranch jumps on it. What a tremendous start, Trevor.
David Crosby's the one to fall on that one, and man, excellent starting field position here for the Mustangs.
Yeah, Braden Baker is too good of a QB to give this plus territory field position to. Cypress Ranch has to take advantage here.
And we talk about Cypress Ranch probably wanting to come out and establish the run game. William Blaylock was a former college offensive lineman. You know that he's got thoughts of pounding the rock right here, starting field position on the 25.
Powers, I want to see how Dinkins responds, too. He's at your free safety at the top, number 5. He's got to flush that play and quickly get back into the action. He's a very talented player, and it's a long game to play.
They call that the star position in Hightower's defense.
Receivers Joshua Richard Jr., Manny Leha, and Derek McCullard Jr. White in the backfield with Braden Baker. Giving it to White, first carry of the season for him, and he's not going to get much, or if anything, maybe a yard.
Great team tackle there, but credit to the Hightower defensive front. They got off the ball quickly. Armani Edwards was pulling around. Somebody got right in his face, blew up the hole, and that's why you saw that stop for a virtually no gain right there on the play.
New receiver checking in for Cy Ranch and John Fox. Baker, first pass of the season. He's going to take it himself instead. Braden Baker rumbling and gets to the 19-yard line. Going to bring up a 3rd and 4.
We thought Carson White was the dual threat quarterback in this game, but Braden Baker showing you he has the athleticism too, and that's just such a requirement if you're going to be a Division I quarterback. Making a smart play, not forcing anything, sets up a short 3rd down here.
And you don't always have to be fast. You just have to be quick enough to keep the defense on its toes and respect that QB run game.
Trips up at the top of your screen. White in the backfield with Baker, 3rd and 4.
Watch for Manny Leha, number 8, the wide receiver at the top of your screen on the left.
Baker swings it out. A tie, and it's nearly intercepted. Almost picked off there by Xander Richardson.
And it looked like number 9, Tomi Ajao, getting in, number 9, the defensive end. Rushed that throw from Baker. He could not get set, and that's what threw off all the rhythm.
So after starting out with fantastic field position, Ranch only able to get 6 yards out of it, and well within their range of their Nate Carrier, but they will look to get on the scoreboard first here.
And Trevor, I can tell you, watch him in pregame, he was booming some kicks, so this is well within his range.
From the right hash, kick by Carrier, easily in his range as Cy Ranch able to capitalize off the muffed kickoff.
But I'll tell you what, Trevor, that is a hell of a hold by the Fort Bend Hightower defense, because that could have been an easy 7 points. Instead, you're only down 3-0. A long game to go here.
They didn't turn the ball over on the kick, right? But the defensive line stepped up. That was one of the keys of the game that we were talking about before it started, that this defensive line has got to play nasty. They got to be quick. Christopher Carroll had a good play, and Tomi Ajayo, who's committed to Harvard with a high football IQ and a high academic standing as well, with a tremendous play there on third down.
I'd like to say that was our first score of the night, brought to you by Community Coffee. Every great day needs a kickstart, and every great game needs a first score. The first score of the game is brought to you by Community Coffee, kickstarting your day.
I'll tell you what, Powers, they're going right back at Dankins on this kickoff.
For sure. Now, you're asking me, I still wouldn't want to kick it to him, but blood in the water, right?
I'm not really good at predicting so far, so I say they're going to go right back at Dankins.
Yeah, we should retire. Yeah. That should be our lone 2026 prediction. Trevor agrees.
I do agree. Solid kick. Now back, and almost disaster again. Not a great start here for Hightower early.
But now we get our first look at Carson White and Powers. I am so stoked for this.
And I think that you have to give some credit right off the top to the Hightower offensive line. It was something that Coach Anthony pointed out in our pregame meeting with him, is that they felt like that they have an offensive line. And one of the guys who really grabbed my eye as we were watching it in the pregame is left tackle number 71, Chris Coleman. Definitely passes the eyeball test, and I think that he's a guy. But Cypress Ranch is going to match anything that they bring on the offensive front with big Amari Vickerson, 4-star defensive lineman, number 9, committed to SMU.
Let's see what Carson White and this offense has. Anders in the backfield with White. They pitch it to Anders, trying to find some room, and he's spun down for no negative yardage on that play.
And that was Vickerson jumping on top of the pile there at the end. I like to see that out of a defensive tackle. Used his hands well to get off the block, pursued the football all the way until the whistle blew and got a little bit of a jump on the pile type of thing with the 300-pounder there at the end of the play.
Amari Vickerson was a THSCA super elite team member, 52 tackles, 10 tackles for loss, and 4 sacks last year, an SMU commit. He is a playmaker.
You can just see the size advantage he has. He's getting double teamed, and they hand it off up the middle. And Anders with a short gain. It's going to bring up third down.
And visiting with Coach Blaylock throughout the season and throughout Vickerson's development, he's a guy that continues to make strides. He uses his hands extremely well, but he's a student of the game. His father, Kevin Vickerson, played at Michigan State and played in the NFL, so he's been around the game for a while, and he's learned all the tricks and techniques that you need to use and have in your bag for a defensive lineman.
White to throw for the first time tonight. Now going to take off. He's dynamic with his legs. You can see why. Here's Carson White down across the 30. Scampers out of bounds for a first down.
And that is one of the keys to the game for Cy Ranch, because Carson White is a dynamic 3-sport athlete. It's one of the reasons he's committed to Oklahoma State, and Coach Eric Morris, who specializes in multi-sport quarterbacks. Think Patrick Mahomes. Think John Mateer. Think Cam Ward. This guy has that type of athleticism, and Coach Will Blaylock said they need to contain him to win this game. They did not do it there.
Cam Ward just located just down the road from us, graduating from West Columbia, and fumbled on the exchange, and it looks like Cy Ranch pounces on it. They do.
And that's just miscommunication and part of having a new quarterback that hasn't had many reps in the system.
Falling on it there is Marcus Salias Jr., and man, 2 turnovers already, gentlemen. I mean, things are just going from bad to worse so far here for the Hurricanes.
And that was just a miscommunication, it looked like, between the QB and the running back. I think that either the quarterback opened up to the wrong side or the running back went to the wrong side of the field there, causing them to run into each other and the ball to pop out. And, of course, Solis Jr. was there to jump on the ball and give it back to the Cypress Ranch offense.
First drive for Cy Ranch started at the 25. Second one starting here at the 29. Baker gives to White. White going to lose yardage.
This is a pivotal drive for the Fort Bend Hightower defense because if you can hold Cy Ranch to a field goal or 0 points here, that's about as good as you can draw it up when your offense or special teams is coughing up the ball in plus territory. They've had their backs against the wall all night so far.
We saw their offense when they don't fumble, they can move. We saw the big run a moment ago from White, but we'll see if the defense can hold. They did it the first time, forcing a 3-and-out and a field goal on that first drive. Baker looking to throw, goes for Leha, and he's able to come down with a catch at the 27.5-yard line. It'll bring up third down, make it the 28-yard line.
So third and long here. I'm looking at Manny Leha again. He had about 800 yards receiving last year, 10 touchdowns, a long, physical wide receiver committed to North Texas. He's Braden Baker's favorite target. Talking to Coach Will Blaylock before this game, he said Cy Ranch probably has the deepest skill group they've ever had, and they could put up numbers that Cy Ranch hasn't really seen since that state championship run in 2014.
Leha, 15 touchdown catches to his name. Can he have another one in him? Here's Baker to throw. Braden stepping up, and he'll just throw it into the turf. The only receiver even close there was Derek McCullough II, and the Hightower defense holds.
And Leha was open on a crossing route across the middle of the field there. It just looked like Baker didn't have a throwing lane to be able to deliver the football to him. Worked outside of the pocket, and credit to the Hightower defense. They are playing really well in the onset of this game.
Only 1 yard gained on this drive for Cy Ranch, and after only getting 6 yards on that first drive, and looks like the Mustangs will go for it here. Here in a 4th and long. Baker throws a screen to Leha, and that goes nowhere. Turnover on downs.
Beautiful recognition by Christopher Carroll there, the defensive lineman. And how about the effort from Fort Bend Hightower's defense under coordinator Quentin Spees? Shout out to those guys because it's 3-0 right now, and it should probably be 14-0, Cy Ranch.
Hey, guys, we discover him on the Rising Game of the Week presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. Chris Carroll, one of the top uncommitted defensive linemen in the class of 2027. Come get you a football player here at Fort Bend Hightower. Louisiana Tech, Houston Christian, Lamar, Prairie View A&M, and SFA have already extended him offers. Looks like an FBS guy to me.
So Hightower, second drive of the game, give it off up the middle. And helping lead the charge there for that Mustang defense, and coming in there and make the first tackle is Caleb Clack.
And Caleb Clack was shouted out by Coach Blaylock as being the offseason MVP. Totally remade his body this offseason. I like what I see out of him so far, being physical in the run game.
Bringing a new tailback, and Evan Armstead, the sophomore. Here with now under 7 minutes to play in the opening quarter. Branch up 3-0. White, high snap, but able to corral it and gives it to Armstead. He's going nowhere at all.
It's a perfectly timed blitz by Marcus Solis Jr. Just blitzed right off that right side. It just worked out perfectly. Great call by the defensive coordinator there.
Solis Jr. making a case for defensive star of the game so far.
Big third down here for Hightower. You want to keep your offense on the field. Defense have been out there for about 6 or 7 plays already, so try to extend this drive, pick up a first down.
Man in motion, it's 3rd and 12. White looking for his first pass completion of the night. He's flush, throws, it's incomplete. Intended target there on the play, Caden Dixon, and Hightower will be forced to punt.
I'll tell you what, Powers, this is kind of what we expect in week 1. The offense is getting off to a slow start, a little bit of miscommunication, a little bit of pregame jitters maybe, but they're going to start settling in, and we're going to start seeing some fireworks from both of these quarterbacks. I can promise you that, but great job by both defenses so far.
Yeah, both of the defensive fronts are playing out of their minds early on in this game. That's exactly what you want to do to Carson White. You want to get him off schedule, get him outside the pocket, and throwing off of his back foot, and that's exactly what they forced him to do on that last play.
Punts away, not even close to Derek McCullough, and it rolls out of bounds. And third drive in a row, Ranch is going to start out on the Hightower side of the field.
Yeah, Fort Bend Hightower's defense is playing this game on expert mode right now.
And it's crazy to me. They've only given up 7 yards.
But the defense cannot keep doing this forever. Let me reemphasize that. These quarterbacks are too good, so Fort Bend Hightower can't keep giving them plus territory.
1st and 10 here from the 40. Give it off to White up the middle, and he only gets a few. Maybe 2.
That looked like your guy Tomi Ajayo there again on the tackle, Carter.
It's not fair that he's so smart and this good at football. I mean, this guy's made in a lab.
White now shifting to the other side of Baker. Baker zips it. Caught. Nope, incomplete. Dropped. Looking for Braden Jeffrey. And here we go. 3rd down and long again.
Zion Newton with really good closing speed on that play. That was a tough, big leap throw by Braden Baker. Put the ball where he needed to, but just enough time for Newton to be able to come in and get a hand in to jar that pass loose.
And Newton might not have the big-time offers because he's 5'8", 160, but he can play with the best of them. The first-team all-district cornerback last year with 10 pass breakups and 3 interceptions.
As some would say, he's got that dog in him. Man in motion. Baker here on 3rd and long. Steps up. Now going to take off and run. He's got some room. He's got some wheels. Spins his way down to the 27 and a 1st down for Cy Ranch, their first of the game.
Now it looks like Cy Ranch is going to try to pick up the tempo a little bit.
As Christopher Carroll checking out here for Hightower. Going to take a little bit of a breather. Baker keeping it again on a little read option. Still going, showing off his legs tonight as he's just trying to push the pile. And let's see where they give the forward progress to. Looks like he is short of the 1st.
That was a nice read by Braden Baker. I've been really impressed so far with his legs because I didn't know he had that as part of his game. I knew he had the rocket arm, but he's showing off a dynamic dual threat ability too.
And it's something that he worked really hard on. He got a wealth of offers coming out of his sophomore campaign. Things slowed up for him throughout the course of his junior year, and he was determined to show that he was much more than just a pocket passer, and he established his ability to run last season, and that's carrying over right into his senior year.
Second and short. Here goes White. He's got the 1st down. He's still going. He's still trucking all the way down to the 11.
Now I'm starting to see what Coach Will Blaylock was talking about, how this running back could have played in Nebraska in the Tommy Osborne offense in the 1990s.
Yeah, he was dragging the defender with him. I think that was Aaron Bledsoe that came up and filled that hole quite nicely. But White was able to grind out 2 or 3 more yards after that initial contact. Best hole that he's had to run through so far tonight.
Giving me some Mike Rozier vibes. 1st and 10 Mustangs. White again. White down to the 7.
It's a nice block by Armani Edwards, number 77. Guys, keep an eye on him at left tackle. By some accounts, he's the number 1 tackle in the class of 2028. Just a physical specimen out there. 6'6", 300 pounds. Also a really good AAU basketball player, and I did a feature on him for the Rising magazine, and his mom was talking about how he used to love swimming at the Boys and Girls Club. Like, he's a true athlete out there at left tackle that you don't often see.
And when you said number 1 tackle, that was number 1 in the nation, not just number 1 in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Under 3 minutes to play here in the opening quarter. Handoff up the gut. Kalichi getting the carry.
I think he just pancaked 2 guys on
Edwards,
that play.
Edwards was wrecking shop on that play. That was absolutely nasty.
We have to get a pancake blocker up.
Offers from Texas, Texas A&M, Nebraska, LSU, Ohio State, etc. So he's being pursued by all the top dogs throughout the entire nation.
And Coach Will Blaylock said if you were playing a video game and you wanted to create an offensive lineman, he'd look exactly like Armani Edwards. That's
That's coming from a guy that looks like he could still play a little O-line.
Play fake. Baker keeping it. He just gets to the 5. And Hightower's defense holds again.
On that note, Powers, I'd say that Coach Will Blaylock and Coach Cornelius Anthony were two of the most intimidating head coaches I've seen before a game. We had Cornelius Anthony on his bench, listening with his AirPods in, looking like he was on the Wrecking Crew defense back in the day, which he was. He was an NFL player back in the day, guys. And then Coach Will Blaylock looked like he could suit up in a sleeveless cutoff tee and some headphones and some sunglasses. And those two are part of the same coaching tree. Right? Because Will Blaylock was an assistant under Cornelius Anthony at Fort Bend Hightower. So these guys know each other really well.
Tremendous head coaches and mentors.
4th down. Mustangs going for it. Man in motion. Baker to pass. Baker, slant. Leha, touchdown.
Boy, and Leha made that look easy, working the defensive back, creating the separation you need, and Braden Baker standing tall in the pocket, delivering a strike. And I know that Houston Cougars fans that are listening to this have to be extremely happy with what they see out of Braden Baker on that throw.
We'll just have to make a quick little trip down 290 for his college career. Manny Leha with his 16th touchdown catch of his prep career as we get ready for the extra point by Carrier. Up and good. Let's thank some of our great sponsors, including Casey's. Every week, Dave Campbell's Texas Sports recognizes teams delivering standout performances across the state with the Dave Campbell's Team of the Week presented by Casey's. For 14 weeks, 7 deserving teams across all Texas classifications will earn Team of the Week honors for their performance on the field. Think your team deserves the spotlight? Visit DaveCampbells.com to learn more and nominate your team for the Dave Campbell's Team of the Week. It's not crazy. It's Casey's. Y'all, a much-needed drive. You're leading if you're Ranch, but Hightower's defense was just asserting themselves and go for the gamble on 4th down, and it pays off with the Leha touchdown catch.
Yeah, and I think that was a good call on 4th down. You know, you've already kicked the field goal. You've had favorable field position. If you walk out of that drive up 6-0, that you have to think that the first quarter, even though you're winning on the scoreboard, was a bit of a loss with the opportunity that you had. So I love the play call there by the Cypress Ranch offensive coordinator, and Braden Baker and Manny Leha deliver.
Carrier's kick received at the 15. Trying to find some room, slung out of bounds after a gain of only 10, and Hightower, y'all, a tough night for them offensively.
But Carson White is one of the most veteran quarterbacks in Texas high school football. Like we talked about, guys, 36-5 record. He has poise for days. He's not going to be rattled. He's not going to have these first-game jitters. All the miscommunication is happening just because he's new in this offense. I can promise you that. And they're going to get this ironed out by the end of the first quarter, and he's going to start turning it up here. Something
I've noticed that is hard to see maybe if you're watching at home and you're not paying attention, the Hightower wide receivers are staying on their blocks. Adam Antoine, Caden Dixon, those guys are playing hard out wide, so that's something to note about this offense.
And here goes the dynamic dual threat, and Carson White lunging forward to the 32. A dual threat quarterback, over 5,600 yards passing, 79 touchdowns through the air. Most impressive thing, though, over 2,000 yards rushing and 44 touchdowns on the ground. And we haven't seen the arm tonight, but, boy, he is shown off with his legs.
I love that play call, too. Sometimes once you get that first hit, you're like, okay, I'm in game mode now. Yeah. And so settle into the game that way.
Give up the middle. Oh, here's some room for a first down, and approaching to midfield. There on the carry goes Anders. Now shifting to the other side of White.
Yeah, I could have driven a Ford F-150 through that hole. Great work by the Fort Bend Hightower offensive line.
Looking like Joe Gibbs 80s Hogs out there. White keeping it again. He's going to get across midfield. Flag on the play. White tackled out of bounds at the 48. There, David Crosby bringing him down. Looks like it's a hold, but we'll hear from the official.
On the offense, number 19, 10-yard penalty,
Chase Jacobs, the tight end, called for a hold. Second and 15. Give up the middle, and Anders doesn't get much of anything.
Yeah, you don't have many play calls for second down and 16, it looks like.
I know which one I'm calling, and that's number 1. See what he can do with the football in his hands. Carter, I brought up the wide receivers block, and you're a little bit of a running quarterback yourself back in your day at Frisco High. How important is it that your wide receivers are doing their job blocking, staying on blocks when you pull that ball down to run?
Powers, as I always say, if you block, you get the rock. If you see your wide receivers being unselfish on the edges, you want to get them the football. That's the sign of a true team.
So first quarter in the books, a 10-0 Cy Ranch lead. But both teams have some things to be proud of. If you're Hightower, Ranch has had 3 drives that have started on their side of the field, on the Hightower side of the field, and you've only given up the 10 points. You've forced them into some third and longs on Ranch, but for Ranch on the other end, you're thinking, hey, we got our mojo back, we got the touchdown, and this is a great way to start the Texas high school football season here on Dave Campbell's Texas Sports.
And this is a drive where you want to walk away with some points, but you're playing behind the sticks here on second and long. I think that you got to come up and get some yards right here, make it a more manageable situation on third down. We'll see what play call they drew up.
So now it is second down and long. And here goes White. Power set him in, put it in the arms of number 1, but he's tripped up. Brought down on the play there by Caleb Clack. We've said his name a couple times tonight.
Caleb Clack on the attack. I love the way he's flowing fast and downhill in the run game. Sometimes with defensive backs, you see a hesitancy to get up there and stick their face in the run game, but Caleb Clack is leading from the front.
And I love the secondary here for Cypress Ranch because you have Clack, you have Jacob Lee, who they've really not even tried to test yet. And keep your eye on number 22, Antonio Murray. He's one of the bright, shining stars in the class of 2029, one of the top-rated recruits in the 2029 cycle.
It's third and a mile. White guns one over the middle. Nobody home. And Hightower will be forced to punt, looking for Caden Dixon there on the play. And at first that drive was looking to be pretty successful, but holding call. What's the one thing we always say? Penalties will cost you.
Drive killers.
Yeah.
Now it's a fumble on special teams, a fumble on offense, and then a drive killer penalty. Fort Bend Hightower's beating themselves right now, and the frustration is starting to show on the sideline, I can see. So they've got to band together here and realize it's still a 2-possession game. And again, I sound like a broken record, a long game out in front of them.
Derek McCullough, the second, back to return. Ooh, just gets the punt away. Takes it on a hop, says, let's go. Trying to break out of some tackles, still going. Love the effort he's given, and he gets down to the 43.
So this is Cy Ranch's 4th drive, I believe. This is the first time they will start on their own side of the field.
Still very favorable field position here. Looks like they're going to get the ball starting off at the 43-yard line here. So, I mean, definitely the type of field position that you're looking for to start a drive out off. It's just the worst one so far tonight, right?
Especially with all those weapons you have out there on offense.
And I feel like the offensive line is starting to heat up for Cypress Ranch, too, and that could spell trouble for Fort Bend Hightower.
We've been talking about Edwards a lot tonight, and he has been impressive there in that tackle spot. Give up the middle. Not much of anything there for Kalichi, and he is driven back.
And I know Edwards gets a lot of the headlines, but I also want to shout out the center, number 56, Braden Crawford, who is a first-team all-district guy. He might not be like the number 1 center in the nation like Armani Edwards, but he is a damn good Texas high school football player and so integral to the offensive line.
A gain of 2 on that last play from the 45, as you heard from the PA announcer out here. Ranch looking to make it a potential 3-score lead on this drive. Baker stepping up, showing off his legs all night. He's across midfield and still going. Down to the 42. Nice little pickup and a first down for Cy Ranch.
Here's the thing, he's 6'5", so from afar, it might not look like he's sprinting, but he is just eating up ground.
Yeah, much of the way that Keyshawn Henderson did last year. He's also he's a Houston Cougar now officially, played at Legacy School of Sports and Sciences last year, and both are 6'5", and they're both going to be playing at Houston in the future. That QB room is going to be something different.
You got to see a great performance last year. Y'all two did against Prosper Richland. Handoff up the middle. There to the 36-yard line. Going to bring up a second down and manageable.
That was a nice tackle, but that looked like it hurt really bad because that running back is running so hard. And that's number 26, Kelechi Onyenmalbi. He's hard to pronounce his last name, and he's also hard to tackle.
Him and Christian White splitting the carries tonight, but Kelechi seems to have found his groove here in the second quarter. Baker on a nice fake. Braden Baker able to get past the 30, or right at the 30, and another first down, and Cy Ranch just moving that ball.
Trevor, I'm going to tell you what, they are going to come back to that play because I think there's a third option. Joshua Richard Jr. at the bottom of your screen, number 4, was bubbling out, and Braden Baker kind of faked it over to him. I think that's actually in the playbook, and let's see if they come back to it.
Right now, he's the middle receiver in the trip step at the top of your screen. Baker on a play fake. Baker stepping up. Here he goes running again. This time, he's not going anywhere. Sacked on the play. There by Xavier Edwards.
Yeah, tremendous play right there by the Mike linebacker coming in and screaming to the football.
Yeah, because if he didn't make that play, Braden Baker's still running. He was the only guy able to tackle him. And, you know, Cornelius Anthony, we talked about how he played at Texas A&M in the height of Texas A&M's wrecking crew defense. He said that Xavier Edwards is a throwback linebacker who could have played in his era, maybe with like a cowboy collar or something like that. I love the way he flows the football.
Braden Baker picks up about 3 yards every step he takes, too, so every step that you save is positive for your defense.
A quickly paced first half so far as we're about to hit 8 minutes to go in this first half. As we'll get a timeout. We'll keep it right here. Let's get another sponsorship read in. Hey, Texas football fans, don't let a broken garage door keep you on the sidelines. Call the experts at Garage Door Doctor for fast, reliable service and same-day repairs you can count on. From broken springs to brand new doors, Garage Door Doctor has you covered so you'll never miss a kickoff. Schedule your appointment today at garagedoordoctor.biz.
Texas football
Carter,
are giving you the power to help them earn the recognition they deserve.
Here.
Think your coach has what it takes to be the Jimmy Dean Brand Coach of the Week? Nominate them for Jimmy Dean Brand Coach of the Week today at TexasFootball.com/Coach of the Week.
I think it's contained Braden Baker because Baker is leaning on the run game, but then it's also got to lock up Manny Leha because anytime Cy Ranch gets their backs against the wall, they're looking to the North Texas commits way.
They've been able to get pressure on Baker, especially as he drops back to throw. He had one clean pocket, and he threw a touchdown strike. So you're wanting to make sure that you can keep him off his rhythm, keep that pressure coming. This defensive front has passed the test so far, but as the night drags on, you don't want to see those guys get tired. They got to keep up the intensity.
2nd and 12 coming out of the timeout. Baker escapes out of a sack, flings one up, and is tipped and incomplete. McCullough, the second, was wide open in the end zone, and some great defensive coverage there stops the touchdown.
That was Josh Antoine, the junior safety, who just made a touchdown-saving tip. That was a nice play by Braden Baker. Showing off a little bit of mobility there, throwing on the run, but Josh Antoine, he just saved a touchdown, young man.
They're working through that rotation up front. Kayvon Berry, a player that they are very high on here at Fort Bend Hightower, coming on the field for that snap. They will mix these guys in and out. They mentioned a couple of those guys like Kayvon Berry who will come in and provide very valuable reps.
Trips here at the bottom of your screen. Give it off up the middle. And Kelechi there was a manageable gain to the 26 at his 4th down. Last time Cy Ranch faced a 4th down, they threw a touchdown to Manny Leha. But right now, they're well within Nate Carrier's range. Should they?
And Armani Vickerson is coming in, Trevor, the SMU commit. Oh, I think they're going to kick it.
Yeah, they are.
I thought when they brought Armani Vickerson on there, they're about to run like a power play or something like that.
I remember seeing that a couple years ago with Flower Bluff.
The guy can dream.
I've seen it before. Saw it in Flower Bluff and Gregory Portland in the regional semis back in 21. It's the kick is up by Carrier, and man, he has a great leg, but he just misses it. So unsuccessful drive there for Ranch, and if you're Hightower, have to be feeling pretty good.
Yeah, this defense coordinated by Quentin Spees has done an excellent job. They've had their backs against the wall all night. The defensive line is playing with their hair on fire. Powers, that was one of the keys of the game we talked about, too, because Will Blaylock said he knew Hightower's defensive line was very active with their front four. They don't blitz a whole lot, but they stunt a whole lot with their front four guys.
Yeah, they're doing things to confuse the offensive front as much as they can, but really I like the mix that they have up front. You have your speed guy in Tomi Ajayo, you have your traditional defensive end and Michael Mims, and then you have those two guys in the middle, Chris Carroll and Gavin Brooks, who are able to wreck shop and take up blocks. This is a well-rounded defensive front for Fort Bend Hightower.
Defense has held it up their end of the bargain so far for the most part tonight, but the Hurricanes offense needs to return the favor. White pitching it, finding some room after a nice little cutback and spun down at the 36-yard line, short of the first down by about a yard. There goes Evan Armstead there with the carry.
This is a sophomore with a little bit of wiggle right there. That was a nice run because there wasn't a whole lot there.
And he was a guy that the coaching staff also said, hey, look, looking beyond the starters, there are some guys on this team who can move the needle, and he was one of those names of somebody that we should definitely track, not only in this game but throughout the course of the season, as they should provide a good 1-2 punch with Armstead and Anders there in the backfield for Hightower.
Pickup of 9 there for Evan. So Armstead with his best run so far tonight. Hightower looking to at least get on the scoreboard before we hit halftime, approaching halfway through the second quarter. There just be some confusion down there. Here we go. 3 men in motion. White pitching it. Armstead again. He's got the first down. Spins his way, lunges forward to the 40. Nice little pickup there.
And something to monitor, Trevor. I think there was some confusion, but they also might be trying to slow it down, one, to settle themselves, but also it is so hot down there. Powers and I walked down on the field pregame. We tried to walk up a flight of stairs, and we were breaking out in a cold sweat. I mean, and Fort Bend Hightower is a small 6A team that was only 17 kids above the 6A enrollment number, so they are a smaller team.
Armstead, third carry in a row. This time, Ranch's defense is ready for him. Well, still moving the pile. Looks like he gets about 4. And that's, you talk about the heat. Not only are we sitting in the 90s, you have that, you have the famous Houston area humidity, and you're playing on a turf field.
Well, they went a little bit quicker there, so playing with some tempo now is the Fort Bend Hightower offense. And I think if you can get Carson White to slow down, like you said, Carter, quit processing so much and just play, you're going to see him do some special things. 2nd
and 4. White to pass. White zips one, caught. Best throw of the night for Carson White, results in a first down catch there from Caden Dixon.
Caden Dixon is their deep man when they went to kickoff, so I got to think that he's getting some speed to the table as well. If that's the guy that they're hoping that you kick it to, he can probably do some special things with the football in his hand.
As we get a timeout from Coach Blaylock, we'll get another read in here for y'all. Elite Source Evaluators, built to help college recruiters identify.
Behind every team is a coach who inspires greatness, a leader who pushes players to work harder, believe bigger, and never give up. Jimmy Dean Brand and Dave Campbell's Texas Football are giving you the power to help them earn the recognition they deserve. Think your coach has what it takes to be the Jimmy Dean Brand Coach of the Week? Nominate them for Jimmy Dean Brand Coach of the Week today at texasfootball.com/Coach of the Week.
Yeah, if you hypothetically went into the break down 10-7 after turning it over twice and having a drive-killing holding penalty, that is like a best-case scenario after a worst-case scenario start. So really critical offensive drive for Hightower.
.456 to play here before we let y'all enjoy the bands at halftime. White gives it up the middle. And only a yard, maybe two. Lunged forward there at the end. There was Armstead on the carry.
Armstead has come in and provided some really nice reps as the backup running back. Since he's come in, the offense has started to click a little bit more, and that's not taking anything away from Cyrus Anders. I'm just saying on this drive, it seems to be coming together, starting to gel for Fort Bend Hightower.
Only a gain of 1 that you just saw from Armstead. 2nd and 9. White looking to throw.
Coming.
Escapes out of it somehow. Here's the dynamic dual threat, and Carson White still going and scampers out of bounds at the 33.
Boy, he put Caleb Clack in a blender right there at the end of that run.
That is nasty work right there from Carson White. A 3-sport athlete, a stud baseball player. I think he wants to play baseball and football at Oklahoma State. Just such a dynamic athlete, and also a really nice pure throw of the football, too.
First trip approaching into the red zone here, potentially for Hightower. Man in motion. Keeps it. And here goes Carson White again. Carson White all the way into the end zone, and Hightower gets their first score of 2026.
Boy, howdy, Carson White gets just a glimpse of daylight and dashes to the end zone. This is exactly the type of skill set that he's going to be bringing to Stillwater when he plays for Oklahoma State. And I feel justified right now in his DCTX Rising 4-star ranking. I've been very high on Carson White. He really opened my eyes at the Elite 11 camp as a thrower. But, man, he's special with the football in his hands.
Well, and we saw him ball out last year against Richmond Randall in a thriller, but he looks faster right now than he did last year. Should put in work this offseason.
I guess the best way to describe it, easy speed.
Extra point up and good on after Carson White's 45th career rushing touchdown. And we were just talking a minute ago, burn some clock, and Carson White says, none of that.
Trevor, I kid you not, Cyran should probably be up 21-7 at bare minimum right now. The fact that this is a 10-7 ball game, Hightower, you got to be happy with the turn of events you've had, because you got your mistakes out of the way, and if you can just play clean football from here on out, this is going to be a ball game.
It is a ball game, Carter. I'm feeling pretty good about the way that this one's going to unfold the rest of the way. Look, Hightower was a team that faced some questions. They've had 2 seasons that I think in Coach Anthony's mind are a little bit of a disappointment. They're expecting themselves to go on a deep playoff run. They didn't go on a deep playoff run the last 2 years, but they've answered the challenge. And one of the things that I found most interesting in visiting with Coach Anthony over these last few weeks is him pointing out that this team rallies around themselves. They show up to the weight room to work out together because they want to be there, because they want to compete. And that's exactly what you're looking for out of your football team. And if you're a Hightower fan right now, you can start to see it come together a little bit, and that's got to be exciting.
Kickoff by Guzman. Gets to the 10 before it's fielded, and a really good return. Flag comes down on the play. Thereafter, Joshua Richard nearly broke it all the way to the house, but we'll see the penalty flag in a moment. Could be coming back. Or backing him up, I should say.
And they have some good wide receivers on this team, but Coach Blaylock pointed out if they're looking for a change of pace guy, that Joshua Richard is.
You talked about Hightower's last couple of years, lost to in the first round of the playoff last 2 seasons after making the regional semis in 2021 and then coming this close to a state semifinal berth in 2022. They made the regional semis. 23, they came oh so close, taking on Summer Creek in a whale of a ball game that was played over at CFFCU Stadium. Of course, Summer Creek ended up making a run all the way to AT&T Stadium, so no shame in losing to the state runners-up, but I'm with y'all. Hightower has some state championship game experience. They expect those deep runs. I think back to Braylon Addison back in 2011, how dynamic he was for that Hightower squad.
And Coach Cornelius Anthony said they are taking that personally. That is not the standard, losing in the first round of playoffs in back-to-back years. They want to get Hightower back to where they were going 3 rounds deep.
Here's White. White just stonewalled him, pushed back.
And Trevor, you know what's going to help them do that? Actually, is a brand new weight room they got from an anonymous donor this offseason. This was one of the best offseason stories we saw. So they have a new coach, Coach Carlisle, getting into coaching and observing the teachers as he gets his certification. He saw how hard the kids were working in the offseason. I mean, they're coming up on Saturdays and Sundays on their own, and he got an anonymous donor to come in and donate a new floor, painting of the walls, all new equipment, and that's coming in handy here on the field now.
Sure is. We've seen what the defensive line can do. Is McCullough the intended target there, and it will bring up a 3rd and 9.
Boy, Tommy Ajayo's hell on wheels, boys.
This is a critical play for Fort Bend Hightower, too, because if you can get Cy Ranch off the field, there's 3:15 left on the clock. You have more than enough time to potentially take the lead going into halftime. So huge critical down here in this first half.
Especially with Cy Ranch getting the ball to start the second half. Here we go on a 3rd and long. Can we see a little bit of Braden Baker's arm? Baker trying to escape. Gets out of that sack. Braden Baker showing off his legs all night. Braden Baker going to pick up a 1st down.
And what did I say, Powers? If you block, you get the rock. John Fox, number 13, made a hell of a block there near the sticks. And it's not going to be enough. I think it's 4th down.
Yeah, it is. They say
that was a great
out.
effort.
He was tiptoeing the sidelines. It's hard to see from our vantage point being all the way across the field, but he must have stepped out right there. It looks like on the 25-yard line, going to set up a 4th and 2 situation here. And, of course, Cypress Ranch looks to punt.
And I'm not going to make excuses, but if I was going to make an excuse, my contacts are kind of dry right now, and so I couldn't see it very well.
And this humidity?
I know. It's a weird combination I got going on right now.
Lee Reeves back to return here for Hightower. He will get a chance to return this. Takes a bounce. Oh, he touched it. Picks it up. Great special teams there for Ranch, pinning Hightower all the way back at the 20.
There's Caleb Clack again, Carter. That's your guy. I think that's your Carter Yates pick of the night. That's your here's a guy.
I think so. I was really curious about him coming into the night because Coach Blaylock had talked about how he remade his body, was an off-season MVP. So I had my radar up, but he has just earned my full trust.
I know that you have a sensitive spot in your heart for anybody with Ivy League academics, so I know that we're going to be watching Tommy Ajayo pretty close as well.
I think so, too. There's 2 potential here's a guy candidates. Actually, could you be a here's a guy if you were going to Harvard? I think that's too big time.
So here we go. 1st down. Here's you-know-who and Carson White keeping it for a short gain. Gets to about the 23. Hurricanes have 2 timeouts to work with, but a whole lot of field to go. And their kicker in Guzman does not have the leg of Nate Carrier, so you'd probably feel pretty comfortable if you could get to the 15 to try to kick a potential tying field goal. Now under 2.5 to play in the half. White throwing a screen. Caught by Anders. Making a couple man miss, and Anders only getting to the 25-yard line.
These Hightower running backs are doing a great job making something out of nothing because there's multiple times Cy Ranch has them dead to rights and they scored out for like a 3-yard gain or something.
Well, I'm impressed with the discipline of both defenses so far. They haven't really gotten out of position too much. They're playing 10 toes down each and every snap.
As we hit the 2-minute timeout. So I said Hightower had two timeouts to work with. Technically, they have 3. How do y'all feel about having the 2-minute timeout come into effect in high school in the starting last year?
I like it. I mean, I like the game to mimic the college game as much as possible. I think this is what you're getting the guys ready for to play at the next level. A lot of them, especially in Texas high school football, the games that we're going to be covering here on the Dave Campbell's Rising Game of the Week presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. is going to be college-level athletes, and then they need to get ready for Saturdays, and I like that our Texas high school football rules mirror
At Casey's, we're too
Saturdays
nice to
in
say
so
no.
many ways.
So, when someone wanted all their favorite foods in a single bite, they tried this. But that didn't work. So we brought back the bacon cheeseburger pizza with crispy fries instead. It's not crazy, it's Casey's.
A 2-minute timeout. 3rd and 7 here for Hightower. White to pass. Here's a screen. Anders staying on his feet and lunging forward. He looks like he's short of the first down, though.
And I believe that
They gave it to him.
Wow. I thought Clack got in there, got a hand in, tripped him up. I thought he might have been down just short, but giving him forward momentum there.
Under 1:45 and counting here in the half. Carson White throws far side, caught. And quick throws are the name of the game for Carson White tonight.
Well, quick throw, and I know that's going to go in the stat sheet as like a 5-yard throw, but he threw that ball about 30 yards across the field. That was a nice throw, Powers.
Dude, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say the exact same thing. It was only 5 yards on the stat sheet, but that was a big-time college throw right there.
Evan Armstead checking in at tailback. Also checking in the tight end and Chase Jacobs. 2nd and 6 after the 4-yard pickup. Here's Armstead. And he maybe gets a yard. Yeah, it is a yard.
Big third down here, and it doesn't seem like a huge sense of urgency from Hightower. I've noticed it kind of feels like they're wanting to see if they get this first down. If they get this first down, maybe they'll kick it into high gear.
Still have 2 timeouts. As we're about to hit a minute to go. Throw caught far side, and not enough for the first down. A great catch there by Lee Reeves, but it is now 4th down. Clock will stop with 50 seconds.
Well, they kept it running. It
yeah,
looked
now
like
they're
maybe
running.
His forward momentum was stopped. I actually love the way that they handled and approached this drive. Not working too quick, running some clock, making sure that they don't give the ball back if they had to give the ball back to Cypress Ranch with too much time on the clock.
So Coach Anthony does call a timeout with 42 seconds left to go in the first half. And I'm kind of with you. I'm surprised in the, I guess, not sense of urgency. But defense played great. Even if you don't score, you'd feel, all right, we go into the halftime break only down by 7 with this bad, or down by 3 with this bad of a first half as we've played. We're still right in this ball game. Hoping for a good return here from Derek McCullough II. He's been the main return man here for the Cy Ranch squad here tonight. Ooh. Punts away. McCullough able to return this solidly. Still rumbling into Hightower territory. He goes to the 48-yard line. And some great, again, we've said this all night, great starting field position here for Cy Ranch.
Yeah, you got 2 timeouts, 31 seconds, a Houston commit under center, a North Texas commit split out wide, and a couple of under the radar wide receivers you feel really good about.
And by the way, a kicker with a booming leg too.
Yep. They said would he be good from 58 potentially?
Yeah, they said they wouldn't want him to get out that far, but I mean if there's like 2 seconds left on the game clock, then they might try 58-yarder.
Something to note too, the field post that they'd be kicking it to, the goalpost they'd be kicking it to, is the open end of the field here, not protected by the building at the other end of the field. A little bit of a tougher field goal going this direction.
As Coach Anthony calling his second time out of the half. And Yeah, that is such a luxury when you can have a high school kicker that can hit 58. The only other guy I can think of that had a leg like that was Crosby. Had Trevor Hellberg a couple years ago. Ended up playing soccer at U of H. Only guy I can think of in my time doing this that had any sort of leg comparable to that.
Trevor, I'm not just saying this. Your ball knowledge is elite, dude. The amount of guys you can rattle off
just
is
a
pretty
few.
crazy.
I'm not as good as Matt Stepp, but
well, no one is.
Yeah.
All right, Trevor.
Okay.
Dave Campbell's Texas Sports. What game number is this for you calling games here?
Football or all sports?
Football. Let's stick with football only. Give us the estimate.
Gonna give ballpark probably 250.
250 games that you've been on the call for, most of them in the Houston area, so we respect your knowledge and tip our cap to you as an H-Town ball knower.
Appreciate it. Glad y'all can make the drive down here to H-Town. Come out of the timeout. Baker to throw here. Looks and a little too high there for Manny Leja.
Yeah, and I don't think Braden Baker was set right there because that rush was coming in on him. And Tomi Ajao, once again, we've been calling his name all night. You don't see a defensive end make this kind of impact in the game.
Well, Coach Anthony talked about, he brought up something in our pregame talking about DeSoto's defensive front a couple years ago when they actually played Summer Creek in the state championship. Of course, the guy that they had screaming off the edge also wore number 9 in Keelan Abrams. And number 9 here for Hightower, he said, I got a couple of defensive ends that remind me of that DeSoto team. He said, they won state, but these guys are good.
That's I will say that state championship for DeSoto, the most dominant win I've ever seen in my time doing this. Here's Baker to pass. Throws for Leja. It's intercepted. Still going to the 40-yard line. And a great interception there. Josh Antoine picking it off. And Hightower going to have some time to work with 18 seconds to go in the first half.
So Josh Antoine having a hell of a first half because, remember, he made that tip that broke up the touchdown pass that Baker would have had. Now he gives the ball back to his offense in plus side of the territory. And this went from, okay, let's stop Cy Ranch from scoring to what if we can score and maybe take the lead here.
They still have one timeout remaining. Starting here at the 40. As Baker, after only having one interception all last season, throws one in game 1 of 2026.
And our scoreboard went dark here. We're looking at around, 15 seconds left on the clock here, and they're probably going to keep time on the field or try to get that scoreboard back up before we resume play here.
Like we said, week 1 for everybody. The players on the field, the announcers in the booth, the scoreboard. We're figuring it out, guys. Stick with us.
Well, the video's still working on the video board, so I have hope that they're going to be able to get this resolved.
Hopefully we don't have a New Orleans Super Bowl 47 situation.
Why would you put that in the atmosphere, Trevor? Come on now. Your ball knowledge is hurting us.
Oh, we got the scoreboard up. It just got to – there we go.
It's officially 13 seconds here on the clock. It's enough time for 2 shots at it here.
And Hightower's got 2 timeouts left, too.
I'm feeling inspired by the Vince Young documentary, though, this week, fellas. Like, would Carson White pull it down? Could he do it on the ground?
I think so. He showed some Vince Young-like runs tonight.
You were talking about Houston area football players. I think Vince Young's on the Mount Rushmore of Houston area football players.
Oh, no doubt about it.
He was solid at Houston-Madison. "13 seconds to go. White to pass. Carson guns one. Great coverage. It's incomplete.
And that's the guy that you don't want to throw on right there, Jacob Lee. He's committed to Rice. Rice is an FBS level program, but if there's one of the players that's got my heart on the island is Jacob Lee, and it's because he does so much. He's not only a great cover corner, he's a tremendous baseball player. He's a tremendous basketball player as well. He does a little bit of everything for Cypress Ranch, and he's on the go 365 days a year.
White to pass here on second down. Going to take off. Carson White trying to get the edge, and he only gets a yard. And clock will hit 0.
Dorian Rogers with the statement maker there to end the first half for Cypress Ranch, bringing Carson White right down where he was standing.
He's had a couple of nice plays in the back half of the second quarter because the last drive, too, he made the stop that forced a fourth down as well. So he's hit sticking from the cornerback spot.
Well, here we go, fellas, a defensive battle as we approach halftime, or it is halftime, and I'm looking forward to the second half.
Yeah, should be a whole lot of fun. A couple turnovers in this one. Started out a little shaky for Hightower, but got right back into it. They only trail the Cy Ranch Mustangs by 3 points. It's 10-7. We'll let y'all enjoy halftime. Be back in about 20 minutes or so for the start of the second half here at Kent Hall Stadium. County. Trevor Bullard, Greg Powers, Carter Yates here for week 1 of the Texas high school football season here on the Dave Campbell's Rising Game of the Week, presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. A defensive affair so far. Branch opening up with a 10-0 lead off a couple of Hightower miscues, but Carson White putting the team on his back, getting the Hurricanes right back in the game. And Carter Powers, looked a little dangerous there for the Hurricanes early, but we got ourselves a game.
It was really funny because we were expecting the best quarterback duel of the weekend in week 1 of Texas high school football, and we still could get that. And both those quarterbacks got hot towards the end of the second quarter, but really a defensive slugfest. And I feel like if you're Fort Bend Hightower, you have to feel great about your position because you started off with a muff kickoff return, then a fumble on your own side of the field, then a drive-killing penalty. Cy Ranch had 4 drives start in plus territory, and your defense only gave up 10 points. Just a heroic effort by Fort Bend Hightower's defense and defensive coordinator Quentin Spees. You got to love where you're sitting at now.
And I got to credit the Hightower defensive front for keeping them in this football game. They were wanting to answer the test and bottle up the run game, and I thought they did a very good job of that, except for a couple of times Braden Baker got loose in the QB run game. But on the other side of the football, Cypress Ranch has to be equally enthused about the play of their defensive front, led by Amari Vickerson, a 4-star going to SMU after he's done playing here for the Mustangs. Very intimidating presence up front, but on the back end of that defense, they played very well, especially in the secondary.
Yeah, I mean, you look at as good as we talked a lot about Christian White here pregame, and the leading rusher for Cy Ranch tonight's Braden Baker.
I want to see how Braden Baker responds, Powers, because he had a 32-1 touchdown to interception ratio last year, and right now he's 1-1 touchdown to interception ratio. So how does he respond? I expect big things in the second half from the Houston commit.
This one's returned from the 5 after it got a little squirrely, and spinning for a second half after trying to get out of the tackle, but leading the charge there for the Hightower special teams is Caden Rossell.
And let's take a look at some of the breakout stars, some of the guys that might have been flying under the radar as we entered this game. Up front, Chris Carroll, defensive tackle for Fort Bend Hightower, playing a great game, demanding a double team. But on the edge, Tomi Ajayo has been a guy that's been absolutely pinning his ears back, making life uncomfortable for Braden Baker. And on the other sidelines, Caleb Clack, number 21 on defense, he had a great first half, and I'm expecting more plays out of him here in the second.
Powers, I loved what I saw from Ajayo. So last year he was a second-team all-district defensive end, 50 tackles, 3.5 sacks, 20 quarterback pressures. It felt like he had 20 quarterback pressures in the first half of this game.
He had at least 4 or 5, so, I mean, he's going to break those records, I think, from last season this season.
1st and 10 Mustangs from the 18. Give up the gut, still going. Helmet comes off for a Hightower player. He's going to have to come out. As a Christian White toting the rock there to start the second half.
One of the things I love about Amari Vickerson is it's not always going to show up on the stat sheet, right, but he uses his hands really well. And on the other sidelines, Chris Carroll doing the same thing. I mean, they're running into the teeth of the defense when you're running right at Chris Carroll, and he's going to make life uncomfortable for anybody who's trying to take him one-on-one.
This Hightower defensive line is so underrated, but, Coach Will Blaylock at Cy Ranch knew all about them and the stunts they do with their 4-down defensive linemen. They don't bring a lot of pressure from the second level because they don't really need to with how active their front line is.
2 plays in a row to Christian White. Look at him go across midfield. It's a foot race, and he's going to outrun everybody. Touchdown, Mustangs.
There goes Christian White. That's the reason why a lot of colleges across the country have been lining up to get his signature right in the middle of the field. He hits the gas, and nobody was going to catch him, Trevor.
So a first half for Cy Ranch, limited in explosive plays, and then Christian White says, I'll just do it I'll do it about less than a minute and a half. I mean, that drive took 109.
Over 30 offers for Christian White. I'm going to start right here. How about Indiana, the defending national champs, undefeated in 2025? LSU, Arizona State, Florida, Michigan, Stanford, Tennessee, Texas, Texas Tech, et cetera, et cetera. When you have over 30 offers, you're bona fide.
And you got to remember, guys, Christian White only had about 300 yards rushing last year, but he only got to play in 5 games. And Coach Will Blaylock had said, he has a chance to put his name amongst the best in Texas. And with runs like that, he's going to do it. But I really love, too, how he's developed into a leader of the group, even though he's only a junior. Coach Blaylock described him almost like an assistant running back coach out there because they've got such a young running back core. I can't believe this guy's a junior. He's built like a grown man.
No doubt about it. He passed the eyeball test right away. I was like looking out in the pregame to take some photos. I was like looking for Christian White. It took me about 2 seconds to find him.
Well, Carter, you talked about didn't play a lot of games, but when he did, he averaged 6.3 yards a carry.
Yeah, I mean, he is uber talented, and just what a start to the second half for Cy Ranch, too, especially after your quarterback threw an interception to end the half, going for it all. And look, I don't think Braden Baker would have normally made that throw if they hadn't had 13 seconds left on the game clock, but wanting to settle back in, that'll get your quarterback feeling right when you're running back and rip off a 60-yard run like that.
And if you're listening to this at home and you want to know why somebody has over 30 offers, they only played in 5 games, it was his short area explosiveness, his size, and his ability to make people miss in the hole. That jumped out 1 or 2 plays into his highlight tape, and we saw our first glimpse of it here tonight. So
a 10-point lead again for Cy Ranch. They've already had it earlier in this game when they were up 10-0. As this one will go into the end zone for a touchback, and out will come the Hightower offense, who in the later stages of that second quarter seemed to have found their groove offensively. Let's see if Carson White can work some magic again.
It felt like Carson White really settled in, especially after they established the quarterback run game, and then he started airing that thing out, too, making some really impressive throws. I look for him to continue that momentum into the second half. And like we were talking about, Trevor, I don't think it's a pregame nerves thing for Carson White because he's 36-5 as a starting quarterback. He just doesn't have a lot of game reps with this Hightower offense, but he's really settling in.
1st and 10 Hurricanes as they're going to give it off up the middle. And a short run there by Zyrus Andrews. Only a yard. Oh, they're going to get a no. I was going to say they're going to get a free play, but looked like we had some movement there on the O-line. First there for Fort Bend Hightower.
Well, this front 6 of the Cy Ranch defense was a big question mark coming in for Coach Will Blaylock because they graduated 6 linebackers that went on to play college football, and Blaylock had said this could be the most athletic front 6 he's ever had, but they're very unproven outside of Vickerson. So I think they've done pretty well to start off, Powers. I mean, holding this high-powered Hightower offense to only 7 points.
Yeah. The linebackers have played extremely well. Marcus Solis Jr. picked up a fumble, had a couple of good plays in the first half. Big number 42, Caden Williams, is not somebody who I'd want to get hit by.
So it's a short gain there after the gain of 5 with the Cy Ranch penalty. So it'll bring up a 3rd down and 2 here for Fort Bend Hightower.
I guess you say their name, it calls them out. Caden Williams in there for that tackle for Cypress Ranch.
Been relying a little more on Andrews here to start the second half.
Well, it's coming off the right side.
Here they come, swinging it out. And,
oh, they're going to get a flag for maybe a face mask?
Yeah, look, if it's not a flag, it's a heck of a play there by David Crosby, but I'm with you. It might be a face mask. I mean, heck of a defensive effort, though.
What a recognition on that play. Flew to the football, and you got to love the effort of Coach Will Blaylock. He just might have got a little handsy.
He's a great downhill player, Crosby. This secondary is pretty talented.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, that's a backbreaker. That was a terrific play. And really, there's not much you can do. That's not like a lack of discipline. That's just trying to make a play and your hand getting up a little too high.
So Cy Ranch defense is already, they had a offsides call that gave 5 free yards to Hightower. Now they give up 15 free yards to Hightower. Carson White to pass. Zips one. Just in and out of hands of his intended target.
Okay, I know it's an incomplete pass, Powers. That was a pretty impressive throw because the high safety, if he leads his wide receiver, that is either an interception or a hospital ball. He makes him come back to the football on the sideline. Again, this is the type of throws that they will start hitting as the season rolls along.
That's a pass they complete 2 weeks from now every time. As the receiver gets more comfortable with the QB, understands what he's going to do, that's a big-time throw there by Carson White.
Looking for Fontenot on that play. It's second down. Run up the middle. Anders now into Cy Ranch territory. He goes to the 47. It's going to bring up third down and relatively manageable. Not looking at a third and crazy long, but so far Hightower's been getting the free plays and the free yardage. Now can their offense work with something here as we start to approach 9 minutes to go in the third? Carson White gets a good block from Anders. White flushed, and he'll just fling it out of bounds.
It's a smart throwaway because now they could potentially go for it on fourth down. I don't know if they will, but he at least gave his offense the option.
Line to gains the 42.
Well, looks like White might be back at punter.
Yeah, let me rewind the clock a little bit to last year's Richmond-Randall game. When Carson White was back as punter, you had to respect that they may go for it.
White gets it away. It's high, but not very deep. And it's just fair caught at the 30 by McCullough. And out will
color on the field here.
I think there's some yellow laundry out there, guys.
Nope. It's the shoes. I'm going to give a shout out there to Solis rocking the Cy Ranch gold shoes.
It may be a mouthpiece out there. If it's a mouthpiece, it's one of the biggest ones I've ever seen.
Yeah, left hand up. It's a mouthpiece. It was right by Carson White, who was sitting on his butt. I thought he got roughed. The yellow mouthpiece, guys, on the ground. I mean, that's, come on.
It's a big boy, too.
So there was a flag.
It was a flag. Okay.
Block below the waist.
I literally thought I was going crazy up here.
I looked through it through the binoculars, and the way that flag was laying on the field, it looked like a mouthpiece. You feel vindicated, Carter?
I do. I want justice.
So the penalty flag helping out Cy Ranch now. Let's look at the ball spotted at the 46.
That was like the worst murder mystery of all time.
All for a penalty on the punt team.
8:51 to go here in the third. Second drive of the third quarter here. And look who gets the ball. And Christian White. Look at him go again. Christian White upended. Flying out of bounds after another first down run.
That was a nice block by the tight end, Gage Roberson. And Powers, this is huge because Blaylock had a lot of questions about his two tight ends. Not because they're not great players, but because they're both inexperienced. They graduated two tight ends last year. So they are really counting on guys like Roberson to step up so they can ground and pound. And if he's going to block like that, they can do it.
Yeah, if you can set the edge with the tight end, you put him right next to Armani Edwards, it's going to open up some gaping holes for somebody like Christian White to run through.
From the 39, Baker gives it to the man of the second half so far, and White. And he will have no gain on the play.
That's big Chris Carroll right there, Powers. You've been shouting him out. He's having a hell of a game.
I'm telling you, one of the top uncommitted guys in Texas. A lot of the top guys are already committed, but if you're looking for a defensive lineman, Fort Bend Hightower may have somebody to answer all of your prayers lining up in Chris Carroll. These guys in the trenches are hard to find. They're 6'2", 270-plus pounds. They play with a high motor. They don't grow on trees. You got to come and find them, and right here is one right in front of our eyes.
Loss of 1 on the play, they say. 2nd down and 11. Why not to him again? And instead, it's actually Kalichi there getting the carry. Gets to the 35.
This is man-on-man football right here because Hightower's got about 6 guys on the line of scrimmage in a 3-point stance, and Cy Ranch is still trying to run it down their throat.
We talked about that mentality that Coach Blaylock brings to the table, being a former college offensive lineman himself. You know that he takes pride in the run game, and he's got a running back there, a couple of them that can really tote the rock, and he's got a big, strong offensive front to put him behind.
They spotted Kalichi down at the 37. It is 3rd and long here. Play fake. Baker rolls far side. Stops. Throws a home run ball. Looking for the end zone. Looking for McCullough. Flags fly everywhere. And it should be, depending if it's offsetting or not. There was a lot of jarring and jersey tugging there on that far sideline.
Well, that's why you run like 7 times in a row, basically. Get that defense to bring 6 guys down on the line of scrimmage, and then you run the play action with Braden Baker. And Powers, what a throw, dude. That was nice.
Yeah, he let that go with effortless ability. Put the ball in a really good spot, too, where it wasn't going to get picked off. Throwing his wide receiver open right there was Braden Baker.
They call the penalty for PI on Zion Newton, so a free 1st down here for the Cy Ranch Mustangs, looking to put a potential 3-score breathing room here.
That was a touchdown-saving penalty, though, guys. It wasn't a bad penalty here for Fort Bend Hightower. If he didn't make that PI, he's probably dancing in the end zone right now.
Here's a man who's been dancing all night in white, and he's upended. And here comes some more laundry on the field.
It looks like he was in Cy Ranch's offensive backfield. And here's Braden Baker. You see, showing a lot of good leadership here because
Holding on the offense, number 67. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. We play 1st down.
so it's a holding on the offense, and it looked like there was some extracurricular activity going on. These guys are juiced up. They've been going against their own team far too often. They want to hit somebody else in another uniform. We see Braden Baker take his guy to the side, get in his face a little bit and say, hey, let's continue to play the next play and be smart here. And that's what Coach Blaylock was talking about, the evolution that Braden Baker has made this offseason. Like, he missed 1 practice in spring ball. They did not have the same level of intensity when Braden Baker wasn't there. He comes back the next day. They're still kind of slogging through, and the coaches step back and watch Braden Baker just get on the team and pick up the intensity for everybody. He's showing Division I leadership out there, too.
That was the biggest takeaway I had from our talk with him earlier this week. Sweep to White. And he slung down after a 4-yard gain. As White just toting the rock so much here in the second half so far.
That loosens up everything for the rest of the offense, too, right? You have to respect the play action a little bit more when you think White's going to get the football. Gives the receivers a little bit of space, and Braden Baker something to work with. That makes this offense extremely dangerous for Cypress Ranch.
2nd down here from the 30. Line to gain is the 12. So 2nd and 18. Here's a run by Kalichi up the middle. Still going. Now into the red zone he goes, and inside the 15 he goes.
You know, normally when you have 2 running backs that are as lethal as these guys, it's like one guy's smash, one guy's dash. These guys are both smash. I mean, these guys are both north and south in a hurry and trying to run you over.
Pickup of 17. It is 3rd and 1. Boy, we are having a quickly paced second half so far, especially with how well both these teams are running the rock. Baker to White, 1st down and goal coming up.
That's Amari Vickerson pancaking a guy onto the goal line. He's like Michael Ora there taking him to the bus to go home.
And he's fired up, and Cypress Ranch is getting into their bag as far as their plays are concerned right now. A little bit of a different look there with 2 blockers in the backfield. White didn't have to go behind him there. He saw a little bit of daylight in the middle of the field, took advantage of it, and moved the chains.
It is unfair when you bring Amari Vickerson, the SMU nose tackle commit, to line up right next to Armani Edwards, the number 1 left tackle in the nation.
I think that they should reward him with the carry here, Carter. That's what I'm looking for.
We're wish casting up here, Powers.
You're just trying to speak into existence. Swinging it out. McCullough trying to escape. Gets down to the 6. 2nd and goal.
This is a huge potential touchdown here if Cy Ranch can get it, punch it in. Because this would, like you said, Trevor, make it a 24-7 ball game. Hightower needs to hold right here, at least to a field goal.
Did on the first drive of the game. A pretty methodical drive so far for Cy Ranch, looking to potentially take a 17-point advantage should they punch it in. Bounces off a tackle. Still going Kalichi. He's down to the 1.
How did he break that first tackle in the backfield?
You know, Tomi Ajayo, tremendous burst, got to the football. What he didn't do was wrap up right there. You want to see that defender wrap up, bring that guy down where he's standing. Didn't use his arms. He was able to escape his grasp, and that's why he picked up that yak.
Under 3 minutes to go now here in the 3rd. White's the tailback. Looking for touchdown number 2 on the night. White getting touchdown number 2. Mustangs rolling here to start quarter number 3.
We've seen a new Cy Ranch football team since they stepped out here for the second half. I would pay to be in the locker room when Coach Will Blaylock had a halftime speech because they've run about 20 run plays to 1 play action pass. It is just man football, mano-y-mano. I love this.
And he went behind both of those blockers up front in the backfield right there. And I believe I saw Caden Lawrence trotting off the field, coming in as another defensive player in the offensive set to lead that through the hole.
Well, and Hightower head coach Cornelius Anthony knew this was coming, right? Because Blaylock was on his staff. He's a former college offensive lineman. He knew he wanted to run the football, and they're just starting to impose their will here in the second half.
Carrier's kick is up, and Carrier's kick makes it a 24-7 Mustangs lead. Would like to thank Higginbotham. It's a proud sponsor of Dave Campbell's Texas Sports Most Driven Team Award. Head over to texasfootball.com/most driven team to learn more. So a methodical drive for Cy Ranch. Of course, like you said a moment ago, Carter, run game is the machine's online here for Cy Ranch so far.
This is a huge offensive drive for Hightower. You got to have points here or else this game could get out of hand.
You guys can talk about the running backs all you want, but the play that I keep coming back to is Amari Vickerson's pancake on the goal line.
Oh, yeah.
That's the stuff that football analysts' dreams are made of.
And that just speaks to the mentality Cy Ranch has had this second half. Like, we are going to man you up. We're going to try to run it down your throat. Everyone in the stadium knows what we're doing, but can you stop it? And in the second half, Hightower hasn't been able to.
With Cy Ranch moving over to Region 3, I love the physicality they have. They go from Region 2, which, you know, there were some physical teams out there, Duncanville especially, as this one goes into the end zone for a touchback. But Region 3, North Shore, physical team. Katy, physical team. Summer Creek, physical team. So I love what they have coming in to show, hey, we're in Region 3. We can be physical too.
And that's why they're scheduling a team like Fort Bend Hightower, because they know they're going to face those types of programs, Trevor, once they get in the playoffs. And we talk about Amari Vickerson finishing a guy towards the goal line. Their whole offseason mantra was finished because they were up by 10 on Waxahachie in the third round of the playoffs with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left and lost in overtime. They did not finish. That is the theme of their season in 2026.
Another team that's a physical team in Region 3 that says it's really weird to say they're in Region 3 is Vandergrift.
Yeah, that's true.
White rolling. Flag on the play. He'll just fling it out of bounds.
I believe they moved from Region 4 to Region 3.
Yep.
And, of course, in Region 2, you always have that late playoff game where it's Houston versus DFW. It's always a great game. But Cypress Ranch now moving to Region 3, which is a more traditional Houston-based region.
Mm-hmm. When they made that state championship game appearance in 2014, they were in Region 3. They've been in Region 2 the last couple of alignments. One thing I will want to say with alignment, if you're Cy Ranch, do you need to be that number 1 seed in the district? Because they're in 23 6A. 24 6A is that Austin area district. So it's a penalty on the Hurricanes, and it's first and forever. White gives it up the middle. Lunging forward. They're just trying to pick up whatever he can. There is Armstead.
Mission accomplished. It's 2nd down and 9 now. A great run by Armstead. Been so impressed with these Hightower running backs' powers.
I really like the change of pace that Armstead brings to the table. It seems like he gives them a little bit of energy every time he steps on the field.
Under 2 minutes to play in the third. Armstead again.
Ball's on the ground.
Coughs it up.
Cy Ranch thought they had it.
Well, the officials discussing down there right now. Long discussion.
And Cy Ranch is not happy.
No.
I think it's going to stay with Hightower.
Yeah, it looks like it is.
That was almost disaster right there. That would have been the 3rd fumble, like inside their own 30-yard line they would have had tonight.
Those type of mistakes are hard to overcome, especially when you're facing off against a 6A power like Cypress Ranch. Back to your playoff conversation from a little bit earlier, Trevor. Use that a little bit of a segue. There are no weeks off in Texas high school football,
No.
6A. This is the biggest of the big and the baddest of the bad throughout the entire country. If you want to watch good football, this is why you come to Texas, and this is why you come to the Dave Campbell's Rising Game of the Week presented by Dick's Sporting Goods.
Going to be a lot of great games. You and Carter over in the DFW area next week for what should be a heck of a ball game in 5A.
Yeah, Mansfield, Timberview taking on Denton Ryan. Cody Coleman's done a tremendous job there at Timberview. And, of course, Shane Tolson taking over the reins at Denton Ryan, where he was once a famed defensive coordinator there. Moving from Waxahachie, as a matter of fact, who bounced Cypress Ranch out of the playoffs last year. He's now the head man at Denton Ryan.
And if you want more free football, whether you're watching, wherever you're watching us tonight, well, you'll get to hear Powers and Greg Tepper tomorrow night over at Sam Vitanza Stadium for what should be another heck of a game in Region 3 with Ridgepoint and Dickinson going at it.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that game. You kind of have new age versus old school. You know, Rick LaFavor's Ridgepoint team, 17 FBS level prospects, talent all over the field, and John Snelson's Gators in the swamp. They're a tough task in game one. They defend their home turf with authority.
Heck of a year for both of them last year, each school only losing a game apiece. Both of them falling to North Shore last year in the Region 3 playoffs. White under pressure, trying to escape. He will not.
That was number 37, Demetrius Giacaris, who just flew in there like a bullet going in the backfield. It actually was a good blitz pickup by the Hightower running back. I don't see which number it was, but just the second effort from that linebacker brings down Carson White and sets up a 3rd down and super long.
Under a minute remaining here in the third. Some work to go. They're just going to throw a little screen, trying to pick up some yardage, and not too much there for Zeke Davis, and Hightower will be forced to punt this one away. There is some laundry on the field.
It's not a mouth guard, confirmed. That is definitely a penalty flag.
I'm going to agree with you on this one, Carter.
Now, what the flag is, I don't know.
Holding on the offense, number 3. That penalty declined. 4th down.
Hold called on Reeves, so Branch will decline it and get the ball back where they have been solid on offense in the second half so far. 2 drives, 2 touchdowns.
White is still the punter, and keep in mind they can fake it when White's the punter. I don't know if they'll do it here because they're so backed up, but something to monitor.
You're down 17. A spark would be much needed. Instead, they will punt it away. And again, actually rolls forward to the 39. And again, Cy Ranch will start a drive on the Hightower side of the field.
It's about the 5th or 6th offensive drive that Cy Ranch has been able to start in the plus side.
Points here will be crippling. Up 17 points right now, 3-possession game. Putting up 4 possessions with 28 ticks on the clock left in the third quarter. Going to make it rough for Fort Bend Hightower to mount a comeback if they're able to put points on the board right here.
Yeah, this is a massive defensive drive.
A turnover would do wonders for the Hurricanes. And spinning off the tackles, Kalichi, and running all the way down to the 34. And him and Christian White have just we have one pass attempt in the second half so far.
I'm feeling these hits in the broadcast booth, dude. I mean, the pads are popping down there from these running backs. They are the aggressors out there. They're not trying to avoid being tackled. They're basically hitting with the force of a tackler.
They're channeling their inner John Riggins, saying, "All right, coming at me, let's go." As our third quarter will end with a 14-0 run for Cy Ranch. They lead the Hightower Hurricanes of Fort Bend 24-7. We'll be back for the start of the fourth and final quarter here on the DCTX Rising Game of the Week, presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. Be back in just a moment.
Behind every team is a coach who inspires greatness, a leader who pushes players to work harder, believe bigger, and never give up. Jimmy Dean Brand and Dave Campbell's Texas Football are giving you the power to help them earn the recognition they deserve. Think your coach has what it takes to be the Jimmy Dean Brand Coach of the Week? Nominate them for Jimmy Dean Brand Coach of the Week today at texasfootball.com/Coach of the Week.
In Fort Bend County, Greater Houston area, Trevor Bullard, Greg Powers, Carter Yates started the fourth and final quarter. Cy Ranch facing second down and already up by 17, looking to add to it here. Why not run it again? Kalichi upended for a first down. And as we've mentioned, folks, only one pass attempt in this second half so far for Cy Ranch. As there's a player down, we will step aside and be back momentarily. Another big run here by this Cy Ranch running game.
They got Hightower the mat. They're trying to make him tap out.
Hand off again, this time coming in there to make the tackle and wrapping Kalichi up. There is Nathan Sanchez.
It looks like he's cramping a bit, guys. We talk about how hot it is down there on the field and how this could come into play for Hightower specifically because they don't have a lot of depth on their team. They are a very small 6A program, about 17 kids over the enrollment number for Class 6A ball.
Josh Lindsay England going to check in and have Sanchez check out. Loss of 1 on the play. It is 2nd and 11. Just saw some movement there a minute from Todd. Here's Baker to throw.
Free play.
Looking up top, and it is incomplete, but should get the free yardage.
Well, Trevor, when we talk to Cy Ranch head coach Will Blaylock, we always ask the question, if you win this game, like if we're interviewing you after the game, Cy Ranch is 1-0, it's because of what? What happened?
Defense, number 9, 5-yard penalty, replay second down.
He's getting offsides on Tomi Ajawa there, but he said it's the offensive line. I mean, that was the key to the game for them because they had massive question marks. We talked about the center, Braden Crawford, a first-team all-district guy, and Armani Edwards, the number 1 left tackle in the nation. But a lot of dudes on that line of scrimmage were played sparingly last year and were kind of question marks, including the tight ends. They have stepped up to the task in week 1.
Why not run it yet again? It's going to bring up 3rd down. We do have to announce our Elite Source Evaluators player of the game when this one's over. And I know we have to name one player, but the whole O-line for Cy Ranch is making a case.
Yeah, no doubt about it, because we talk about the left side of the offensive line being led by somebody that's on the DCTX 5-star watch list, in Armani Edwards. But on the right side, you have Caleb Murphy and Shelton Irakpin that has been doing a tremendous job. A lot of those holes have been coming on the right side. Sometimes Armani's pulling through there, but by and large, from the center over on the right, they've done a tremendous job up front tonight.
Christian White going to come back in at tailback. Ball spotted at the 21. Line to gain is the 16.
Timeout. Cy Ranch.
As we'll get a timeout from Coach Will Blaylock.
I mean, this is a massive 3rd down, Trevor. They got to talk this one over. A touchdown could potentially be a knockout blow. A field goal, not so much.
Right now, well within the range of Nate Carrier. I'd like to thank Huntington Bank. Proud to back Texas communities on and off the gridiron here, helping us with tonight's broadcast. Of course, also our great friends at Dick's Sporting Goods, our title sponsor for the game tonight, who will be bringing us the MVP of this game. So 3rd and 6, little under 10 minutes to play here in this one. Haven't seen the arm of Baker except for one play so far in this second half. And they're not going to need to as they go to White, who will get the 1st down and keep on going.
You see that wiggle in the middle of the field there, Carter? You know who he reminds me of a little bit? David Montgomery. I think that's a good comparison for him. He's moving forward, but it's hard to get a clean shot on him. He's got those quick feet, his ability to move his shoulders to not take the big hit. I really like Christian White, and I think we're just starting to see the glimpses of how special he's going to be this season.
We've thrown out a lot of names tonight. You know who that reminds me of is Cameron Yo, running back Treyon Smith, because his best ability was never to take a clean shot.
Yep.
The way he could wiggle in the hole, and Christian White has that too.
If you're comparing to those two guys, one at the pro level, here's Baker keeping it. Come back to this thought here in a moment. as he will get no gain.
This has turned into a competition of who could have the craziest pole.
I was going to say, if you're getting comps to Trayon Smith, all those years at Cameron Yo, winning 3 straight state championships, going to 4 straight, or a guy that is going to be playing just up the road here in a couple weeks, that's pretty good comps.
Who are you taking on your fantasy football team this year, Trevor? Are you picking Monty, David Montgomery, or are you going with Woody Marks?
I'm going with Christian White.
There you go.
Yeah, right? Well, I know who I'm keeping in my keeper. That's Baker, able to try to dump it off. It's incomplete. Actually, the guy in my keeper is a Texas high school football alum, and Jackson Smith the Jigba.
There you go. Former 5-star #1 player in the state out of Rockwall. Super Bowl champion.
And I tell you what, Cy Ranch could have Jackson Smith and Jigba on this field right now, and they're still running it right down Fort Bend Hightower's throat. This is a mentality they have out there right now.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's going to bring up a 3rd and 11.
And if White can score here, he can stay. He's got 33 scholarship offers. He would have 3 touchdowns on the night. For the regular season, he could potentially rack up 33 touchdowns to match his offer list if he keeps on at this pace.
Why not go to him again? Here's White trying to turn the edge. Christian White.
Oh, yikes.
Going out of bounds. Penalty flag on the play. And from Carter's reaction and the view up here in the booth, it looks to be a hold.
Well, I was saying yikes because he absolutely lowered the shoulder
Yeah, he did.
on a defensive back. But, yeah, the hold is not great either.
Holding on the offense, number 67. 10-yard penalty from previous stop. We play 3rd down.
Caleb Murphy called for the hold on that play. And here now with 3rd and a mile. Probably not going to have White carry it. You'd think. I'm not a football coach.
Well, they're kind of in that iffy range for a field goal, though. So this would be kind of interesting. Do they try to go for it all and risk too long of a field goal, or do they play for a field goal potentially?
You kick a field goal to go up by 20, you'd like your odds just a little bit.
We're going to be down inside of 8 minutes left in the game.
Man in motion. Baker to throw. Screen to White. He is met as soon as he caught that football and throwing him out of bounds. What a heck of a play there by Aaron Bledsoe.
What recognition from Bledsoe, because I really thought that play could be a house call. The entire Hightower defensive line bit super hard on that, and he fought through multiple blocks to stop him for no gain right there. That's an excellent play.
Bledsoe showed it multiple times throughout the course of this game. He's a smart football player.
Well, the offense staying out there on 4th down. We've seen Nate Carrier in pre-games and talking to Coach Blaylock. He can kick 58, but Mustangs electing to go for it. Baker looking in zone. Incomplete, no flags. Turnover on downs.
It looked like number 21, Xander Richardson, with some good coverage there. Gives Hightower some life. All right, now they're going to be down 24-7, 7:04 left in the game. There's zero margin for error here now, Powers. You have to go score.
No doubt about it, and you have to have some good luck go your way as well. You're going to have to get an onside kick or a great defensive stand, potentially a turnover to help yourself get back where you need to be to have a chance to win.
And Carson White's kind of swaggering out there onto the field right now. I don't know. He might be trying to hype himself up or hype this team up, but that's some leadership right here in the belly of the beast against Cy Ranch. Down big.
Saw him do it twice in his freshman year against Stafford and Needville, as White taking a deep shot, and just a little too deep as he overthrows his intended target, looking for Lee Reeves III.
And keys to the season, now that we're, almost 4 quarters in to the Texas high school football season here in 2026, you're going to look for a receiver to step up on this team. right? You're going to look for who's going to be that go-to target for Carson White. They haven't been able to develop that throughout the course of this game. Moving forward, I think that's something that Coach Anthony and his offensive coordinator, of course, Carson White's father, Coach White, is going to have to answer.
I do remember him. If you want to do some ball knowledge, it's just from last year. His go-to target at Iowa Colony turned out to be pretty good in Jaden Warren. Flag on the play as White stumbles, gets caught by the turf monster.
I think that's offsides. It looked like Cy Ranch got too good of a jump.
Yeah. Going to be a free 5 yards.
You know, Carson White, his mom calls him Pop because he's such an old soul. And, you know, Cornelius Anthony, the head coach, said he's never had a quarterback who can call his own protections and audibles almost like a Pop. You know, like his dad, offensive coordinator. And they're going to need to trust him right here. Get this offense to go.
High snap. White on a nice fake, but entire Cy Ranch defense closing in on him. And he is tackled out of bounds on one heck of a play. Boy, defenses are hitting hard tonight there. Antonio Murray there with the tackle.
Antonio Murray is a sophomore and Powers walking on the field pregame. He looks like a senior. And Coach Blaylock said he is a potential rising star for this team.
Well, we got our first glimpse at him at the state 7-on-7 tournament in College Station. And plenty of colleges have already got their eyes on him. He's got a double-digit offer list. Deion Sanders at Colorado, Houston right here at home, Mississippi State, Nebraska, and SMU have already extended offers.
White flinging one. Incomplete. And Cy Ranch just bringing the house.
I'm not a statistician, but I think that's 0 catches on the night given up by Jacob Lee, the Rice commit.
That would be. So Hightower will be forced to punt this one away. And with just over 6 minutes to play, Cy Ranch can pretty much put this one to bed with a score here. McCullough backing up. Returns it from the 44. Sidesteps a man and gets down to the 36. And I will sound like a broken record saying this, but Cy Ranch will start out in Hightower territory again.
Hightower's played this entire game on defense, it feels like. Like, you know when you're watching soccer, and I'm not having any knowledge about soccer, but they're just on one side of the field the entire time. That's what it feels like for Hightower right now.
And as good as your defensive front is, eventually you're just going to get tired out.
Ethan, our producer, is a big soccer guy. He did not like how I just butchered soccer strategy right there.
I'm sure you watched a little bit this summer.
I watched all I could handle.
Here's White getting the rock. He is met as soon as he touched that ball.
Here's a painful comparison. It's USA-Belgium out there right now.
Oh.
Cy Ranch is Belgium.
Yeah.
The game is entirely on Hightower's side. And Hightower's defense, I mean, they did a great job in the first half, holding up, not breaking when they easily could have, but they're starting to break now in the second half.
Play fake in and out of the hands of his intended target. And the pass catching, by the way, Josh dropped there by Joshua Richard Jr. The pass catching for Cy Ranch has been not optimal in the second half, but it hasn't mattered.
I just love the mentality Cy Ranch has had in this second half. Again, whatever Coach Blaylock said to them, it was like a Starbucks coffee, like cold brew, right into the veins, because they've come out in this second half just on fire.
Next week, Cypress Ranch stepping into another Hornets nest versus Sheldon C.E. King, who made an appearance at AT&T Stadium last year, and a potential team they could match up with. I don't think this is possible just based on how the district would shake out size-wise. They could play them in the playoffs, I guess, if things worked out. Maybe not.
Some things would have to go right. McCullough there with the catch, because Cy Ranch and Bridgeland are the two biggest schools in that district, which Wild District with Cypress and Lamar consolidated, and then C.E. King, they're the third biggest school in the district behind North Shore and Summer Creek. So they're probably,
I'm going to pencil in. I'm going to pencil in North Shore and Summer Creek to the playoffs. So
really hot take there.
Next week, Hightower facing off against Cypress Springs in what I think is going to be a very winnable game for the Hurricanes.
I'll see Cy Springs on Saturday against College Station. White getting the carry. Well, you look at Hightower's district, it's a lot of the same. You have Ridgepoint, you have Travis, you have Fort Bend Bush, but moving out is Fort Bend Dulles. They drop down to 5A, and you just bring in Strake Jesuit, which, wondering with them, losing, of course, one of my favorite players to watch, and Johnny Abear. So it ought to be a real interesting and fun district. Of course, Ridgepoint Hightower meeting the final game of the regular season. Last couple of years, that game has decided the district. Baker zips one. Caught down to the 15 on. His butt goes to John Fox. A great heads-up play there by the Hightower defender as he just sat John Fox down.
So now with 3:23 left in the game and Cy Ranch threatening to score once again, it's looking like a long shot for Hightower. I still am very bullish on this team going for the rest of the year, because you got to remember, Carson White came to this team in about the summer. I think this was the first game of live action. Really, we should have expected some miscommunications or lack of consistency. They will be fine as they get deeper in the season.
Here's Christian White getting the carry. He looks like he got enough for a first down. He did. And back to your point, Carter, you know, we love watching high school football. Every game is important, but the thing that matters most is district. Your non-district games are kind of see where you're at in the season and then, of course, get you ready for district play.
And that's exactly why they're playing a team like Cy Ranch.
Yep.
We talk about the connection that Cornelius Anthony and Coach Will Blaylock have together as former coaches together on this Hightower staff. They knew they were going to test each other tonight and expose some weaknesses that they needed to shore up.
By the way, they say he was down short of the first down, so it's a 4th and short. Baker going to give it to White. White's got the first down this time for sure.
And I've liked what they've done with this. I'm going to call it the jumbo package that they've shown in the second half. Throwing a couple guys out there to be the lead blocker, Caden Lawrence being one of them, coming in from his spot at linebacker to basically play a sniffer back role. Gives White some ability to see the hole and run through it, because if he gets a little bit of space, he can make you pay.
We hit the 2-minute timeout. Would like to thank Panini America. It's a proud partner of college football. Whether you're looking for trading cards of the hottest rookies or young stars like John Matee or Julian Sayin, Marcel Reed, or Jeremiah Smith, PaniniAmerica.net is your destination. Download the Panini Direct app for free and start collecting with the click of a button. That's PaniniAmerica.net. Who do you collect? A few solid college football players there.
We got a few solid college football players on the field.
We do
tonight that I'm going to be really excited about. Into next year, I think Carson White, if he stays on the same developmental trajectory, has a chance to push for early playing time at a school like Oklahoma State. Drew Mestemaker, after this season, of course, is going to be moving on to the NFL, and that's going to open the door for a guy like White to come in and kick his way onto the roster and have a chance. And something that I like that helps him in that regard is his dual threat ability.
He's shown it tonight, that's for sure.
Let's also talk about the prospects on Cy Ranch's team, too. I mean, Amari Vickerson's a guy at SMU who could push for early playing time. And I know that sounds insane because he's interior defensive lineman, but he is already a grown man out there. We saw when he drove a guy back 20 yards to the goal line on a pancake block.
The thing that I love about Amari Vickerson's game is that I feel like he's close to a finished product as he enters college. He's worked on his game so much. His junior season was tremendous, and he's making a statement here in game 1 of his senior year.
First carry of the night. There for Tristan Blaylock.
And, of course, Champ is the son of head coach William Blaylock, a class of 2029 prospect. Guess what, Trevor? He's already got an offer from UTSA.
Shocker. As there is a player down on the field, so we will step aside for a moment. Be back with 1:44 to go. Boy, if Cy Ranch is going to play like, you look at their district. I mean, you got Bridgeland, who we know Bridgeland's about in recent history. Always competitive.
They're about running back Cash Schwab.
Yeah, they are.
Like.
Yeah, Trevor, I don't want to look ahead too much, but I really think the district championship in that district could be week 5 when Cy Ranch and Bridgeland play each other.
I very much agree.
We're going to find out early.
Don't sleep on Waller, guys.
Hey, TK Gaines is a gamer.
Had a really good season last year, starting to step into the spotlight a little bit. TK Gaines, multi-sport athlete as well. One of the best to do it in Texas. Already a DCTX 4-star.
23-6A is going to be a whole lot of fun, and you'll be able to watch it with us all season. As looks like short of the goal line.
It's Champ Blaylock again, and he's coming off an ACL injury last year in week 1, but he's a junior Olympic sprinter. Again, UTSA offer. He is really talented.
Champ getting the rock, getting the end zone. Put another one on the board for Cy Ranch as they cross the 30-point mark.
How about Champ Blaylock getting his name in the record books tonight, or the stat books a little bit tonight, with his first touchdown on the varsity squad? UTSA has extended him an offer already, but he's a guy that we're going to be tracking over the next few years, as I think more colleges are going to find out about him and be highly interested in him. Hey, it never hurts to recruit a player like Blaylock at a pipeline school like this that continues to crank out top-level prospects year after year.
By the way, we just had a penalty on the play, and it looks like they're just going to let the clock tick on down. So a dominant second-half effort for the Cypress Ranch Mustangs as they will start 2026 with a 1-0 record. This was a defensive first half, only 10-7 your score at halftime, but a rout for the Mustangs. Big night for Christian White. Had the big touchdown on the second play of this third quarter, and they just ran away with it. Powers, Carter, before we get on out of here, get back to our hotels, and get back home, we do have to now announce our Dick's Sporting Goods player of the game.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and give my game ball to Christian White. 2 touchdowns in the second half, made a statement run early in the third stanza to go ahead and put the stamp on this victory for Cypress Ranch. Christian White had himself a game tonight. 33 scholarship offers. I think potentially a couple more coming his way after a great first game.
Only a junior, too. That's the crazy thing.
I'd like to also give an honorary game ball to Kelechi Onyemobi because it was, like I said, not smash and dash. It was smash and smash. And those guys really set the tone for Cy Ranch in the second half, where they came out and said, we're just going to line up, run the rock right at you. Everyone at Kenneth Hall Stadium is going to know what we're doing, but can you stop it? And I love that mentality from Cy Ranch. And no, they couldn't stop it tonight.
Trevor, and you mentioned the offensive front here. What better way to reward the offensive front than give the player of the game to their running back? It's like lifting up 6 guys at once here for Cypress Ranch, because without that offensive line, Christian White would have had no holes to run through.
No, second play of that third quarter, if he opened up that giant hole, you could have drove a Mack truck through it, and then, of course, Christian White turning on the speed and go up by double digits, and that was pretty much all she wrote for the second half. Again, coming up next week for both these squads, Cy Ranch, tasty matchup against defending state runner-up CE King, and Hightower taking on Cy Spring. Should be a whole lot of fun. Y'all, I had fun doing the game with y'all tonight. I think we make a pretty solid team.
Trevor, we've never been more back, baby.
Don't forget Greg Powers and Greg Tepper, so Greg squared tomorrow night. And Dickinson and Fort Bend Ridge Point, you can watch it right here, wherever you are watching us. 6:30, I believe, is what y'all are going on for pregame, and then 7 o'clock kickoff should be a heck of a game. Don't forget, we have games all throughout the state, all weekend long and all season long. So we hope you stay tuned with us, not only on Thursdays and Fridays, but do games on Saturdays as well. So grind never ends for us. I want to thank everyone that made this production possible. Everyone here at Dave Campbell's Texas Sports. There's too many to name, but we couldn't do it without y'all, all of our readers and viewers. Y'all are the real MVPs. All right, y'all. Cy Ranch now 1-0 in 2026. Fort Bend Hightower losing their home opener as they will fall to 0-1. We'll see them next week right here on Dave Campbell's Texas Sports. This is it for the Rising Game of the Week presented by Dick's Sporting Goods.